Welcome to Digital Nation, your weekly journey around the best of local TV. Whether it's the final flight of an airborne institution or an art gallery that's broadening its audience online, we reveal the things you don't normally see anywhere else. This week, we pay a visit to a wildlife centre in Ayrshire, where a domesticated fox has made himself at home. We learn all about a driving scheme in Liverpool that's educating older drivers about staying safe. And we discover a medieval revival in Leeds. Love it local and let us know what you think by using the hashtag #DigitalNation. First up, a time-honoured tradition is being carried out in Edinburgh by the Kilt Makers Academy, an organisation that trains and mentors enthusiastic newcomers in all aspects of the art of kilt making. Offering the necessary skills and techniques, this organisation is one of several that's keeping the craft alive.
The Kilt Makers Academy is one of two places in Scotland that we can learn how to make kilts. The other one's in Inverary, Drumbeat in there, and that lady's been doing that for a number of years. And we've kind of come on board just this year to do it, but the numbers that we are actually getting through are quite substantial compared to what's gone through in the past.
We had a couple of open days because we wanted to see how people generally could sew, because we had no idea how this was going to come about. We were only expecting 3 or 4 people, and in the first open day it was absolutely mobbed. You couldn't move down here, so that was quite scary. They basically learned the history of the kilt first, and then they went on to the sewing of it, and in the next couple of weeks they'll also be learning the history of the tartan and the actual textile itself.
I've got a thirst for knowledge for kilts, just to get a better understanding of how it's put together. But sewing has been my passion for years. I've done a lot of jobs, but never happy at my job, but this is what I love.
I came to the open day thinking that it was just an open day, just finding out about the information. Then Nikki gave us all a piece of tartan and told us to stitch it. And the next thing you know, you get a letter through your letterbox saying that, well done, you've got a place on the course.
A lot of the traditionally trained kilt makers are now in their 60s, 70s, 80s. It is a dying art, and if we don't start bringing kilt makers through trained traditionally, we're going to lose it altogether. So that's why it's important to us to actually bring back this art, kilt making.
Knights in shining armour may be a thing of the past, but Leeds Royal Armouries have resurrected the medieval sport of jousting for a modern audience. This action-packed spectacle offers a thrilling recreation of an ancient tradition and draws participants from across the world competing to become the ultimate champion.
Limbering up and getting ready for action. Teams from Poland and France will be there competing to the highest level in a sport that stretches back centuries and still retains the spectacle and excitement of its medieval heritage.
It's a full-on tournament. It isn't a show. It is here for people to pay and come and watch, but it is a tournament, a competition joust run authentically. So it's exactly as you would have seen it hundreds of years ago. And yeah, who knows? It isn't choreographed, so we'll wait and see. It's very exciting.
But of course, safety is paramount.
Safety is paramount. Yes, when you're working for an organisation like the Royal Armouries, we have had endless meetings, making sure, as we always do, and have done for 15 years, to make sure that we cross all the T's and dot all the I's and make sure that the horses and the knights are as safe as they can be.
And one veteran of the event remains as enthusiastic as ever about picking up his lance.
So what's it like jousting? What's going through your mind as you're doing it?
Well, thankfully, because I'm not intelligent, not much, because if I had any intelligence, I wouldn't do it. I mean, the idea of sitting on 3/4 of a ton of horse with a bloke in a blackened armour at the other end waiting for me, and we're going to meet in the middle at somewhere near sort of 50 miles an hour, is nightmarish. But it really gets the blood pumping and the energy absolutely coursing through. And I suppose, I mean, for 10 years, anyone who's interviewed me knows that I've said, oh, this is my last year. And now I'm in my 50s, and it is my last year. But then I miss the buzz. This is why people don't retire.
We've been providing jousting horses here now for 15 years. And so we're looking forward to it. We've got some new knights visiting this time. And we've got an amazing duo of knights from Poland who did very well here last year, so we're looking forward to seeing them run again.
The Chelsea Flower Show is one of the country's premier showcases for floral and gardening flair and is a destination for horticultural enthusiasts the world over. This year, London's new Covent Garden Market is exhibiting at the iconic show for the very first time, creating a very special display for the occasion.
We're really excited to be exhibiting at the Chelsea Flower Show. We're creating a stand for the new Covent Garden Market, which provides flowers for 75% of florists in London. It's a really iconic supplier, I suppose, to London. It's been keeping London in bloom for forever, and all these florists, anybody who's a really good florist will go to the flower market because it's where you would be able to see and touch and feel and smell the flowers, because obviously you walk in and the smell is amazing. The front of it is going to be white and green, really, really strong, really clean, really classic look. And then the other side is just a burst of colour. So that's going to be really, really exciting, I think. Our sort of style is sort of an undone artistry, which is to use flowers as they're meant to be. So to look at the flower, to use it for its own benefits. It's beautiful, the way it bends, the way it moves, and just to keep it light and pretty rather than trying to force it. But the sort of structure behind it and all the mechanics for every event actually is really complicated. It's the bit that takes the longest to learn, because unless you can keep the flowers alive in whatever position you're putting them in, then it's not worth doing.
We put a team together and we really started looking at the history of the market and where we could start, creatively moving forward with the project. There's nothing that's quite been done like this before, with such a deep-rooted conceptual background and with such a heavy kind of internal structure to it as well. So the staging department can create these incredible platforms to go way past what everyone knows as traditional small floristry.
The Sea King helicopter has been a regular sight in the skies above Bristol for years, but the aircraft recently embarked on its final flight before being retired for good. Made in Bristol spoke to a group of youngsters who witnessed the historic flight and gave the Sea King a final send-off.
Painting a helicopter.
Because we're going to see one in the sky, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know how high up it's going to be?
Very high.
Very high.
Just really emotional, wasn't it? I was expecting one helicopter, but to have 5 Sea Kings overhead was absolutely awesome for me. And you saw the children, they were awestruck. Absolutely fantastic.
We've been building it as high as we wanted it.
And why is that?
Because we like building it.
You like building helicopters? You saw Luca building an amazing kind of quite good size of helicopter, a Sea King. And his dad actually works on helicopters, so just the detail with which he was talking about the propellers and the engines and knowing there are 2 engines and where the pilot sits and where the co-pilot sits. I think that's a 4-year-old. It's outstanding. It started off last week. Lots of research about helicopters. As you know, children ask challenging questions. How do they stay up in the sky? Lots of internet searching to answer those questions. Lots of junk modelling. The children love stories anyway, so we've been reading stories. We've been playing games outside. Lots of drawing, and really talking about people who help us. So the search and rescue aspect of the Sea King, we've been talking about that, lots of jobs. So certainly the children in preschool, a lot of research on that side, whereas the children, as you've seen, babies and toddlers, all about helicopters and the noise and just seeing them and hearing them in the sky.
It was good. And it was an enormous one. And it was white on my head.
Whether or not they remember this day and can talk about it is one thing, but I think absolutely it will help them in the future and they'll realise just how awesome the helicopter was.
Next, we visit a group of nurses from Nottinghamshire who are flying out to Africa to share their knowledge with hospital staff in Ethiopia. The team's visit to a hospital in Jimma in the southwest of the country will provide invaluable help to their colleagues to improve the level of care they provide. As Nots TV found out.
A routine visit to a patient on the critical care ward at Nottingham City Hospital. By next week, though, the work that Claire Hepworth and her team will be doing will be anything but routine. They're leaving Nottingham behind and making the 4,000-mile trip to Jimma, the largest city in southwestern Ethiopia. The link between the hospital there and NUH began in 1993 when a professor at the University of Nottingham worked with them on a research project into asthma. Since then, the partnership has grown, with visits now taking place every year. Come Saturday, it'll be Claire's 7th trip.
Jimma Hospital will ask for support in certain areas, for example, critical care or laboratories, and we'll match up staff from NUH to go and work with them. And it's great because we get to share the knowledge we have, but we also learn from them, for example, about infectious and tropical diseases. Trauma is very interesting. You might see someone with a crocodile bite or who's fallen out of a tree collecting honey. And you also see advanced diseases that you don't see in this country that much. So we actually learn things that we do see about things we see in Nottingham, but very rarely. So it's a link that works both ways.
Jimma Hospital serves a population of 15 million people. Compare that to the 2.5 million who have care provided by the Nottingham University hospitals, and you get an insight into how different the services are.
You see a very different healthcare system, which often faces the same problems that we have, just in a very much more extreme form. For example, there's not just not the resources that we have. You have to improvise and reuse. So it really brings out the creative and flexible thinking in people. You have to look at situations and sum up very quickly how you're going to address them, how you can address things creatively. You have to think laterally.
That brings us to the end of part 1, which can only mean it's quiz time. The first recorded commercial flight departed from an airfield close to which city? Was it A, Manchester, B, London, or C, Brighton? Join us in part 2 for the answer. Welcome back to Digital Nation. Before the break we asked you, the first recorded commercial flight departed from an airfield close to which city? And the answer is C, Brighton. Shoreham Airport near Brighton was the departure point for the first recorded cargo flight, when Horatio Barber flew a box of Osram light bulbs to Hove on the 4th of July 1911. To Ayrshire now, as we travel to Hesslehead Wildlife Rescue Centre, where a fox has made himself firmly at home. MacDonald the fox was born in captivity and has become fully domesticated, rather than being introduced back into the wild like many of his counterparts. STV Glasgow's Jennifer Riot went along to meet him.
We've come up to the enclosure where our resident foxes live. I think you met MacDonald last year when he was quite a small cub.
Yes.
You see him lying over there in the sunshine now, fully grown adult fox. It was a bit of a puzzle with MacDonald. It appeared that he was going to grow up just like the other fox cubs that we rear, that are really quite wild. We don't aim to tame them at all. Something happened in the middle of summer, we don't know what. He just suddenly decided that he really did like people, and he was getting up when people were near the enclosure or people were taking his food, and it became apparent that he really wasn't going to go back to the wild.
So Hayley, we met MacDonald about this time last year actually, and he was just a wee baby, and now look at him. He's like a pet dog.
A very smelly, very chewy, very jumpy pet dog. They're not designed to be pets at all, these guys.
No.
I mean, he's special. He's he's gotten used to folk, and it's not what you want to happen.
I mean, this isn't the ideal scenario, but he just couldn't be out on his own. He needs to be in this environment now to survive.
Yeah, you couldn't put him out in the wild. He'd get into trouble. But he's a great ambassador for foxes. When you have a fox like this, you can really show that they're not these animals that people think that just destroy things, and they are very gentle and very nice animals, and we should really respect the wildlife that we've got in the countryside.
The nation's pets are a much-loved part of the family, and when a pet goes missing, it can be an upsetting time. Now, one family in Norwich have been reunited with their missing cat 15 months after she disappeared, proving once again that cats really do have 9 lives.
Back home and being spoilt, absolutely rotten. Claudia the Cat is back with the Hamilton family 15 months after first going missing.
It was about January of 2015. Unfortunately, she'd been attacked by a fox the week before, so after a trip to the vets, she had her collar taken off, a cone put on, antibiotics and general maintenance. And a week later, she managed to slip her collar and disappear completely.
And if coming back so long after vanishing isn't good enough for you, wait until when you see where she was found. She was spotted here by a passerby at the foot of a bridge right in the middle of the River Wensum. 2 men in a boat were commandeered to help get close enough to get hold of the frightened Claudia, pop her into a cat box for safekeeping and back onto dry land. They've absolutely no idea how she got there and where she'd been for more than a year.
She was in amazing condition, so I can only imagine that obviously someone had taken her in and has been taking care of her for the past year.
After Claudia had gone missing, the Hamiltons had done all the usual things to try and find her, like weeks of knocking on doors and handing out leaflets. But luckily, Claudia was microchipped, so when the RSPCA found her on her island, they were able to track the family down. So after her big disappearing act and her island hopping adventure, Claudia is finally back where she belongs.
Now it's time for more national creativity with Creative Keep.
Darts has been around for ages, and each region has its own board. There was the Manchester board, the London board, and the Yorkshire board. But who decided the best of order for the dartboard we use today? It's Game Shot to Bury, and the fairground stall owner called Harry Gamlin. Being a showman, old Harry wasn't keen on losing, so he created a board where big numbers were surrounded by small ones, meaning you had to be bang on the money to win his money. This board became so popular that it became the standard. And it's so perfect that when the scientists worked through the 2,432,902,908,176,640,000 different combinations for a 20-number dartboard, they couldn't find a better one. Proof once again that when it comes to creativity, innovation, and being the chairman of the board, it Bury mint.
Road safety is a significant issue for drivers and pedestrians alike. And older drivers in Liverpool now have the opportunity to refresh their driving skills as part of a new scheme called Drive Safely for Longer, providing support and advice to keep the highways safe for all.
Vera is 81 years of age and is one of many older drivers who are taking part in the Drive Safely for Longer scheme. Her instructor today is Mervyn, who will be taking Vera on a 2-hour-long assessment. Organisers, including the Liverpool City Region Councils and Merseyside Police, are emphasising that the aim is to enhance the driving skills of older drivers by providing advice and suggestions for vehicle modification where there may be, for example, movement restrictions due to conditions such as arthritis.
We do see in Merseyside a lot of casualties on the roads, many of whom are in that age category of over 65. Obviously, as people get older, it's been some years since they took the driving test, and as you know, the road conditions have changed a lot more traffic nowadays. And also a lot of people, since they've passed the test, may not have looked at the highway code. That goes for any age group, not just older people. So we got quite a bit of demand for a scheme such as the Drive Safely for Longer, and it's proven to be very popular.
Well, I'm 81 years of age, and I just thought it was a good idea because I've been driving for 54 years, and I haven't done anything like this since I learned to drive. So I just thought it was a really good scheme.
Well, the attitude of the drivers I'm taking out are very, very positive. They're very engaging, they want to improve, they're willing to adjust and adapt the driving style. If you've got that underlining sort of desire to improve your driving style in a certain aspect, roundabouts, you're not 100% sure times have moved on, or that roundabout where you live, you get a bit nervous, then just we have a chat over it and we'll go through the roundabout, develop it to give you more confidence, to get you out and about, keep you on the road safe.
To Brighton now, where a dancer from the city has returned home to perform as part of an internationally renowned production. Dancer Liam Francis recently took to the stage at Brighton's Theatre Royal with Britain's oldest dance company Rambert and spoke to Latest TV about performing on his home turf.
Rambert took over Brighton's Theatre Royal with the triple bill show, The Three Dancers. The highlight of the show is Transfigured Night, featuring local boy Liam Francis. Happy to be performing in his hometown, I caught up with the young dancer ahead of the big night.
Being from Brighton and from Peacehaven around the corner, it's really lovely to come home to my home city because things are different. You're not staying in a hotel, you know where everything is, you get to stay at home, you have the home comforts, you have your own bed, it just gives it like a different meaning to your performance. You get to go on stage and maybe perform for other people, which is nice knowing that your mum's there. That's kind of always the best when your mum's there, you know you can't really go wrong. Like whatever you do is absolutely fine.
Full of drama, world-class dancing and live orchestral music, it's Britain's national dance company at its most captivating.
Finally, we pay a visit to an art gallery in Cambridge that's making a move online to broaden its artistic reach. Modern art gallery Kettle's Yard is undergoing a refurbishment, and a number of its artworks have been made available online, offering a new perspective for its audience.
Handful of Objects is a free online resource which is primarily aimed at audiences who may have not visited Kettle's Yard before, may have come and wanted to know a little bit more, and it's an interactive resource. When I say that, I mean that there's opportunities for you to listen to sound clips, watch films, and really explore images close up, and it's an opportunity to really use the zoom features on there to get really close to those objects. We also have 360 views of the sculptures and ceramics, so you can see them 360, which you wouldn't be able to do in the house, which is wonderful. And there's also options of sharing on social media as well.
A building project's underway to transform Kettle's Yard over the next 2 years. When completed, the new gallery will include improved exhibition space, as well as a 4-floor education centre. And as more people look to online resources, the digital collection is a key step to engaging the next generation of visitors.
A lot of our participation is coming from visitors finding out about us online, and whilst we're closed, we felt like this was a really good opportunity to really capitalise on that. And so we decided to create something digital so that whilst the house was closed, audiences could still access the objects online. We also feel that digital is something which is hugely important to the way that we're working and the way that people can interact with Kettle's Yard, and it gives us multiple opportunities to create new ways into the objects. As I was saying, through being able to explore objects in 360, it allows us new ways of creating interpretation for our visitors. Kettle's Yard is a unique resource which we know many people go to for calm in a city where there's lots going on. They come for enjoyment, for inspiration, and we see that through our regular visitors, through visitors who we're working with for the first time, through the work that we do with young people, and we want to continue to make Kettle's Yard a resource where it can be open to all.
And that completes our rundown of the best of local. If our stories have inspired you, then don't forget there's more you can see on each of the local TV channels' websites. Or why not catch up on previous episodes by visiting bbc.co.uk/Digital Nation. So until next week, goodbye.